the news about this has got to get out, because this is the tool to use now in Christian high schools, middle schools, colleges. Homeschooling parents ought to be using this. Christian schools, ACSI schools. This is what you've been looking for.
What do you think is the difference between the Reconciled curriculum and the way many Christian ministries are approaching the topic of Christian unity?
Well, how much time do you have? I mean,
you know what? You can go ahead and take my seat. So,
well, there are so many differences. I mean, the thing that I was so excited about the Reconciled curriculum that you produced is, first, it is utterly biblically faithful. I mean, you lay out your assumptions at the beginning, which is so refreshing. Very few people do that. And you state clearly that biblical authority is your ultimate a source of warrant and of information in this subject. But secondly, you two know critical race theory and other associated ideologies through and through. And Monique, you even know it from the inside, because you were a part of that movement for a number of years as you grew up. And so when I read it, I knew that I was reading the real stuff. This wasn't secondhand. This was, you all did your homework, but you put it in a way that is both understandable without being simplistic, and it's filled with interesting exercises and practical application, including supporting videos. So really, the news about this has got to get out, because this is the tool to use now in Christian high schools, middle schools, colleges. Homeschooling parents ought to be using this. Christian schools, ACSI schools. This is what you've been looking for. And so the way it stands out is that so many ministries have basically engaged in revisionist Christianity, and they've slowly changed what the gospel is so that it actually makes Jesus fundamentally a social justice warrior who came to liberate people of color from being victims of the victimizer class, which turns out supremely to be the class of white males. And there is no question, as you all readily acknowledge, that whenever there is genuine racism or injustice, or people on the margins of society that are being treated in an inappropriate way, I'll be the first one to speak out against that and to do what I can to be of help. And our church, for example, is doing all kinds of things in this regard. But it's one thing to say that we should care about this from a biblical perspective. It's another thing to say that this issue was the number one central defining issue that Jesus came to teach us about. And that's just not true. And so I think so many ministries and even books are buying into this too much, that they're taking an important issue, distorting it, and they are trying to Christianize it by slapping some verses on it. And that's not at all what you do. You start with a very careful examination of CRT, and then you go carefully to the scriptures to see if they say anything about it. And in fact, scriptures do, and you lay that out. So I'm gonna build my camp with you guys, and not other people in the body that I think are giving up too much real estate, even if it's well-intentioned. Well, I just want to thank you for being willing to speak up and to do it graciously. You have a nice section about how to communicate in a non-defensive way, which you've done. And I want to stand behind what you've done and wish you success.
Thank you very much.